Today we'll talk about common user in Oracle multi-tenant database in Oracle 19c or 23i. There are two types of user you can find in a multi-tenant database. One is common user and another one is local user. Common user is normally created at the root container and it has the identity and authentication for on all the PDBs. So it can log into the root container or any of the PDBs either by directly by connect methods using user ID password, or it can log into root container and switch to any PDB if the user has a switch any container privilege. But the roles and privileges on each PDB can be different. The few important points about common user is the common user normally created for administrative action activity purposes. Do not create common user for your business uses. And common users and usually prefixed with C hash hash. This This prefix is defined by the parameter common user prefix, which has the default value of C hash s. Technically, you can change this value, but Oracle recommends not to. And there are a few Oracle supplied common users, the sys and system. They are common user, but they do not have C hash s prefix. So, common users are primarily created for creating, opening, closing, and unplugging, dropping PDBs, creating common objects and common users in the root container, can perform operation in PDB, as well as such as granting privilege to local user, grant privilege to common user, and common roles. Normally, common users are created at the root container because you cannot create common user on the PDBs, and local users are created on the application PDBs. Let's look at few examples. One example of creating a common user. Creating common user. This is the syntax for creating a common user. Create user, normal create user command that you have in Oracle. And the user ID should have a username should have the C hash as prefix, and then the password, and you can say default table space and temporary table space. Just remember that this default table space and temporary table space should exist, must exist in all the PDBs, including the root container. If it is doesn't exist in one of the PDBs, then you will get an error. And container all is optional, because since we're you'll be executing this from the root container. Uh, and one thing, just remember that you must always create common user from the root container, and when you execute the create user command for a common user, you should execute that from the root container. So, and since you are executing from the root container and it's a common user, so container equal to all is optional. If you don't provide it, container all is a default. So now the user is created. Uh, Few things that I mentioned: container all clause is optional, and this default table space and temporary tables should exist in all the tables, all the PDBs. And then you do a grant set container and create session. This create session is as in the previous versions, but set container privilege uh, container equal to all will give permission to this user to switch to any container, from root container to any PDBs, from any PDBs to any other PDBs. So this user will have that permission to this set container privilege. So that's all about common user. Thank you. Bye bye.